Hi guys, bringing you a video today on something which will probably be very familiar to anyone who collects British militaria or reenacts British forces during the Second World War. This is an example, or these are an example of the steel mess tins, steel square mess tins introduced during the Second World War. The square mess tins had originally been introduced in aluminium for use with the 1937 pattern Webb equipment. The haversack design had been designed to contain the mess tins, in contrast to 1908 pattern Webb equipment where the mess tins were to be carried in the pack. But as more equipment was added, the pack became too full and they ended up suspended on the outside of the haversack where they were prone to damage. And the D-shaped mess tins were really a very antiquated design by the 1930s. They'd been in use since the Napoleonic period. So these were introduced, as I say, originally in aluminium. However, by the early years of the war, aluminium was becoming a very scarce and important commodity for aircraft manufacture. So the design was slightly modified and manufactured in steel, and this is coated in tin to obviously prevent rust and allow them to remain usable in the field. Same exact design as is used today. Basically the design has survived not only in British Army use but also knockoffs for use by campers and things like this, and obviously copied and developed by other Commonwealth nations and other militaries in general. So you have the folding handles on both, so the larger and the smaller mess tin, and the smaller one nests inside the larger one. The design is modified from the aluminium in having a lip around the edge, obviously so you don't get a sharp steel edge there. The smaller mess tin has a depression here to strengthen the side, a strengthening rib, and the larger one has one pressed outwards. These are both dated 1941, if we can bring this up here and get it to focus. 1941 there, and the small one as well, you can see there. And as you can see, the tin is beginning to wear on these. I would not suggest using them to eat from. If you're going to do that, get a set of aluminium ones. That would be my advice. As I say, it's something of a wartime expedient because aluminium was very important for aircraft manufacture and a lot of other purposes as well. And not only had the British Army introduced these in aluminium, but also an aluminium water bottle, which is a topic for another video. I will do a video on that as well. But obviously, to conserve aluminium supplies, they went back to manufacturing these items out of steel, which is not as good for the purpose, in that it's obviously steel is heavier and obviously requires mild steel coated in tin to prevent it from rusting. So less than ideal. And later in the war, around 1944-45, I think manufacture began in 1945. Aluminium mess tins were reintroduced to a slightly different design. The shape was slightly different from the early war examples. Which again we'll have a look at both of those in another video. But yes, late in the war, alongside the jungle equipment, aluminium mess tin manufacture resumed, but I don't believe they were actually issued out until post-war. As usual, it takes a little while for things to get into the supply chain, and as far as I'm aware, the aluminium mess tins produced towards the end of the war, as I say, weren't issued until afterwards. But the design, as I say, has survived until today. You still find these manufactured with 2000, the aluminium version of these still manufactured with 2000s manufacturing dates on them. I believe Jetboil is becoming very popular now, and there's less use of mess tins. Talking to a couple of friends who are in the army, but as I say, the design lives on. So anyway, I hope you found that interesting. We'll have a look at some other bits like this coming up, and I also have some plans for more one-man's kit videos, so don't worry, there'll be some longer, more in-depth videos on sort of one-man's kit coming up soon. And until then, bye for now.